The gods watched over the land of Egypt, but it was the goddesses who carried the heart of the world in their hands. They were not just distant figures in the heavens, they were woven into the very lives of the people. It was in their power that the rivers flowed, the crops grew, and the stars danced across the sky. The goddesses were everywhere, breathing life into every part of the ancient world, and their influence could be felt in every corner of the land. The women of Egypt looked up to the goddesses and saw themselves. These goddesses weren't distant, untouchable beings. They were mothers, daughters, protectors, and warriors. They were everything women in Egypt aspired to be, and in return, the goddesses bestowed their blessings upon the people. Their power didn't lie in force alone, it came from the quiet strength of love, the fierce need to protect, and the unbreakable bonds of family. The goddesses held the balance of life and death, of joy and sorrow, in their gentle hands. Isis, the mother of all, was the heart of this divine feminine power. Her love for her husband, Osiris, stretched across time itself. When Osiris was torn apart, both literally and figuratively, it was Isis who gathered the pieces. She was not just a goddess of motherhood and fertility, she was a goddess of hope, a shining light in the darkest of times. She showed the people of Egypt that love, pure and unwavering, could conquer even death. When mothers cradled their children, when wives mourned their lost husbands, they turned to Isis, knowing she understood their pain, their loss, and their hope. But there was more to the divine feminine than love alone. There was Hathor, who danced and sang through the hearts of the people. She was the goddess of joy, music, and the soft laughter that echoed in every festival. Hathor brought warmth to the coldest nights, and through her, the people learned that life, despite its struggles, was meant to be celebrated. She didn't only live in the temples, she lived in the music played on the streets, and the smiles shared between strangers. Her beauty wasn't just in her face, but in the beauty of life itself. Yet, even the goddesses had a fierceness in them that no one could deny. Sekhmet was that fiery force, the lioness who guarded Egypt with a watchful eye. Her roar shook the skies, and her anger could bring destruction as quickly as her mercy could heal. When Egypt was under threat, when enemies gathered at the gates, the people called upon Sekhmet. Her wrath could scorch the earth, but her protection was a blanket over her children. She wasn't feared because she was cruel, but because she cared so deeply for the land she watched over. That kind of love could burn, but it was also what kept Egypt safe through countless battles. Nephthys was the quiet one, always in the shadow of her sister Isis, yet she held a power of her own. In the darkness, when people felt lost, it was Nephthys who comforted them. She was the goddess of death, but she didn't bring fear. Instead, she walked beside those who passed from this world to the next, guiding them with a gentle hand. Her presence was soft, almost unseen, but always felt. When the people mourned, when they wept for their lost loved ones, Nephthys was there, offering them peace, showing them that death wasn't the end but another path they must walk. Each goddess held her place, her power, and together they created a balance that was unshakable. They were like the stars in the night sky, each one separate, but together they formed constellations, guiding the way for those who needed light in the darkness. The divine feminine in Egypt was not just about individual power, it was about connection. These goddesses were connected to each other, to the earth, and to the people who worshipped them. They didn't stand apart from humanity, they walked among them, their presence felt in every heartbeat, every breath. The people of Egypt lived their lives knowing that these goddesses watched over them, that their fate was tied to the will of these powerful figures. And the goddesses, in return, gave the people strength. They gave them love, protection, and hope. But above all, they gave them the knowledge that they were never alone. Whether in the bright light of day or the darkest nights, the goddesses were there. In the fields where crops grew tall and strong, Hathor's laughter could be felt in the rustling of the wind. In the heat of battle, Sekhmet's roar echoed in the clash of swords. In the sacred temples, where prayers were whispered into the still air, Isis listened with a mother's care, her presence as comforting as a warm embrace. And in the silence of the tombs, Nephthys stood watch, her shadow a soft reassurance that death was not the end. This divine feminine was more than just stories told around the fire. It was life itself. It was the force that made the Nile rise each year, bringing with it the life-giving floodwaters. It was in the strength of the women who raised their children, cared for their families, and held their communities together. The goddesses were not just worshipped, they were lived. They were in every moment of joy, every tear shed, every battle fought, and every life lost and mourned. The goddesses of Egypt were timeless, eternal, and their power still lingers even now. They were more than myth, they were life. Their stories whispered through the sands of time, their influence still felt in every corner of the world. They were, and always will be, the heartbeat of Egypt, the divine feminine that shaped not just a nation, but the very essence of what it meant to live, love, fight, and hope. The winds of fate could not break her, nor could the shadows of death. Isis stood at the heart of Egyptian myth, her power flowing like the Nile itself, strong, endless, and life-giving. To speak of Isis is to speak of love that defies death, of magic that bends reality, and of a mother's heart that beats for her children, even when all hope seems lost. Isis was not just a goddess of magic, she was magic. Every spell cast, every healing touch, every whispered prayer, it all traced back to her. Her presence was felt in the smallest acts of care and the grandest rituals of the temple. She held the knowledge of the heavens and the earth, of life and death, and with that, she changed the course of history. But it wasn't just her powers that defined her, it was her love. A love so fierce, so unbreakable, that it bound her to Osiris for eternity. Osiris, her beloved, was more than just a king to Isis, he was her heart, her other half. When the darkness came for him, tearing him apart, Isis didn't crumble. She fought. She searched the earth for the scattered pieces of his body, her grief as vast as the sky, but her determination even greater. Piece by piece, she found him, and with her magic, she breathed life back into him. Not just as a goddess, but as a wife, as a woman who refused to let death take away what she loved most. Through her magic, she conceived their son, Horus. It was in that moment that Isis became the embodiment of motherhood. She wasn't just the mother of a god, she became the mother of all. Every mother who held her child close, every woman who loved fiercely and without end, could see themselves in Isis. She knew the pain of loss, the strength it took to carry on, and the joy of holding life in her arms. In her, women found strength, and in her story, they found hope. Isis wasn't just a protector of her own family, she was a protector of all who called out to her. Her magic healed the wounded, her power calmed the raging storms, and her voice could call back the lost from the very edge of death. She was the guardian of those in need, the healer of the broken, and the light in the darkest hours. When the people of Egypt cried out, it was Isis who answered, her heart open, her magic ready to bring comfort and healing. The story of Osiris and Isis didn't end with his resurrection. Their love, their union, brought forth Horus, their son, and with him came the hope of a new future. But Isis's trials didn't end with Osiris's death. She had to protect her son from the hatred of Set, the god who had torn her husband from her. She fled into hiding, protecting her child from the world's dangers, watching over him with every breath she took. The image of Isis with Horus in her arms became one of the most powerful symbols of love and protection. Mothers would look upon her and feel the same fierce desire to protect their children at any cost. Her love wasn't just gentle, it was fierce. She was a lioness, a shield, a beacon of hope in a world that often felt too dark. Isis held her child close, but in doing so, she held all of Egypt close. She was their mother, their protector, their goddess. Isis's magic was not just in the spells she cast or the rituals she performed. It was in the love she gave, in the lives she saved, and in the hope she inspired. Her magic was the magic of life itself, the force that keeps the heart beating, that pushes people forward even when the odds seem insurmountable. She was the bridge between life and death, between the mortal and the divine. She stood at the threshold of the unknown and, with her gentle yet unshakable presence, guided the way. And it was not just her magic or her motherhood that made her great. It was her resilience, her refusal to let death be the end of her story. When the world fell apart around her, she picked up the pieces, even when those pieces were scattered across the world. She did not wait for someone else to save her. She took the power she had, the love she carried, and made the impossible happen. She brought life from death. She turned despair into hope. Her connection with Osiris was eternal, transcending death. He became the ruler of the underworld, but Isis's love never wavered. She stood at the threshold of life and death, keeping their bond alive, protecting her son, and ensuring that justice would one day come. Her love for Osiris, her devotion to Horus, and her care for the people of Egypt made her not just a goddess, but the very essence of life's strength and endurance. When people prayed to Isis, they prayed to more than a distant goddess. They prayed to a mother, a healer, a protector. They prayed to a woman who knew grief, who had faced death, and who had risen stronger because of it. Isis carried all of their hopes, their dreams, and their fears, and she carried them with grace and power. Her magic wasn't just in the spells she cast, it was in her heart, in the way she never gave up, in the way she held the world together with her love. In every moment of life, Isis was there. When the fields were sown and the crops grew, when children laughed and played under the sun, when the sick were healed and the dying comforted, her presence was felt. Her magic was woven into the fabric of Egypt, and her love was the thread that held it all together. Isis wasn't just a goddess of ancient times. Her story, her strength, her love, they all live on. She was, and will always be, the mother of gods, the protector of all, and the embodiment of magic that heals, nurtures, and saves. Through her, the people of Egypt found not only a goddess but a symbol of what it means to love without limits, to fight without fear, and to rise again and again, no matter how many times the world falls apart around you. Laughter filled the air whenever her name was spoken. Hathor, the goddess of love and joy, carried a warmth that could chase away the darkest shadows. Wherever she walked, hearts softened, smiles spread, and music flowed like the Nile, bringing life to every corner of Egypt. She wasn't just a figure of legend, she was a living presence in the hearts of the people. Her love wasn't quiet, it was bold, filling every space with an undeniable energy, a force that lifted spirits and nurtured souls. In her presence, everything felt alive. The sound of drums, the rhythm of flutes, and the clapping of hands were all gifts from Hathor. She was the goddess who made the world dance, who reminded everyone that life was meant to be celebrated. Every beat, every note, came from her, flowing like the sweet sound of a harp played under the open sky. She wasn't far from her people, she was in every festival, every gathering where joy overflowed. Hathor's love was the heartbeat of Egypt, pulsing through the streets and echoing in every celebration. But her love wasn't just for the joyful moments. Hathor was there in the quiet times, too, offering comfort to the weary and broken-hearted. She was called the Mother of Mothers because her love was the kind that never ran out, never wavered. Mothers looked to Hathor when they held their children close, knowing that her nurturing spirit would guide them. She was the one who soothed every fear, who wrapped her arms around those who felt alone. In Hathor, they found a mother's love, endless and pure, a love that didn't need words but was always felt. Fertility was her gift, the life force she gave to the land and the people. With Hathor's blessing, the fields flourished and life bloomed in every corner of Egypt. She didn't just give life, she nurtured it, made sure it grew strong and healthy. Mothers prayed to her, trusting her to watch over their children, to fill their homes with happiness and laughter. Hathor's love flowed through every family, touching every life in ways both big and small. Her presence was most strongly felt in music and dance. When the people celebrated, when they moved to the rhythm of the drums, they felt her spirit moving with them. Hathor didn't just bring joy, she was joy, the kind that made the soul feel light, the heart burst with happiness. Her laughter echoed in every song, her grace in every movement. She gave people a reason to celebrate, to remember that even in the hardest times, there was still beauty, still love, still a reason to dance. In her temples, the sound of music never stopped. Offerings were made not only of food or riches but of songs and dances. Her priests and priestesses sang to her, knowing that Hathor's love could be felt in every note they sang. She didn't demand sacrifice, she asked for joy. She wanted her people to celebrate life, to feel the same love for the world that she felt. Her love wasn't something distant or hard to reach. It was right there, as close as the music filling the air, as soft as the laughter shared between friends. Hathor's love extended beyond the people to the animals, the earth, and the sky. Her spirit was everywhere. She was often shown with the horns of a cow, a symbol of her nurturing nature. The cow, gentle and giving, reflected Hathor's heart. She provided for all of Egypt, not with harsh rules or demands, but with the gentle touch of a mother who loves her children unconditionally. Every animal, every blade of grass, every star in the sky felt her love. She was the life force, the joy that ran through every living thing, connecting them in ways unseen but always felt. Her beauty was legendary, not just in the way she looked, but in the way she made the world feel beautiful. Her love made the sun shine a little brighter, the flowers bloom a little fuller. It was said that even the gods themselves couldn't resist her charm. She was more than just a symbol of beauty, she was beauty itself. Hathor reminded the people of Egypt that love wasn't something to be earned, it was something that was always there, waiting to be shared, to be felt in every sunrise, and every note of music, and every heartbeat. And yet, Hathor's love was fierce when it needed to be. She was not just the goddess of joy and music, but of protection. Like a mother who defends her children, Hathor's love could be as fierce as a lioness guarding her cubs. She fought for those she loved, standing between them and harm. She could be gentle and kind, but when her people were in danger, her strength was unmatched. She was a protector, a shield that kept the people of Egypt safe. In Hathor, love wasn't something soft or passive, it was a force, strong enough to heal, to protect, to bring life where there was none. Her love was in the joy of children laughing, in the songs sung under the moonlight, in the fields of wheat that stretched as far as the eye could see. Hathor was everywhere, her presence felt in every corner of Egypt, from the grandest palace to the humblest home. She was love in its purest form, and the people of Egypt felt her with every breath they took. Even in times of sorrow, Hathor's love didn't falter. She was there, offering comfort, reminding the people that joy would return. Her love wasn't just for the good times, it was for every moment, for every tear and every smile. She gave the people hope, reminding them that life, with all its pain and joy, was beautiful. Hathor was the light that never went out, the love that never faded. To the people of Egypt, Hathor wasn't just a goddess to worship, she was a mother, a protector, a source of endless joy and love. She filled their lives with music, with laughter, with the beauty of life itself. And in return, they loved her deeply, knowing that no matter what happened, Hathor's love would always be there, lifting them up, filling their hearts with joy. In the shadows, where silence hung heavy and the air felt still, there was Nephthys, the quiet guardian of the dead. She wasn't as well known as her sister Isis, but her power was undeniable. Nephthys stood at the edge of life and death, offering comfort when all seemed lost, guiding the souls who had passed into the unknown. Her presence wasn't loud or forceful, but it wrapped around the grieving like a soft embrace, calming the fears that came with the end of life. Nephthys was often misunderstood, her name whispered only in hushed tones. But for those who truly knew her, she was a beacon of solace. She walked beside the dying, never leaving them alone in their final moments. When death came, Nephthys didn't bring fear, she brought peace. She knew the pain of loss, the weight of sorrow, and she stood with the mourners, sharing in their grief, holding them up when they thought they couldn't go on. Her heart was vast, able to carry the sorrows of many without breaking. Her role in the story of Osiris showed her quiet strength. When Osiris was murdered by his own brother, Set, and torn into pieces, it wasn't just Isis who mourned. Nephthys stood beside her sister, not as a rival, but as a pillar of support. She wept for Osiris, not because he was her husband, but because she understood the depth of Isis's love and loss. Nephthys didn't seek the spotlight, she simply wanted to help. She helped gather the torn pieces of Osiris's body, working tirelessly alongside Isis to bring him back to life. In those moments, Nephthys wasn't just a protector of the dead, she was a protector of those left behind. She understood the emptiness that death could leave, the gaping hole in the hearts of those who remained. And so, she devoted herself to easing that pain, to making sure that death wasn't something to be feared. To her, death was a passage, a transition, not an end. And for those grieving, she was a presence that promised they wouldn't have to walk through that darkness alone. Nephthys had no grand temples built in her honor, no songs sung loudly in her name, but her power was in the quiet moments and the stillness of the night when the soul sought comfort. Her love for the dead was pure, free of judgment or fear. She didn't hold the grandeur of kings or warriors in her heart. She held the ordinary people, the ones whose names were never written in the stars, but whose lives mattered just as much. They were her children, and she watched over them in death just as a mother watches over her child in life. The Egyptians believed that when someone died, their soul had to be prepared for the afterlife. It was Nephthys who helped guide those souls, ensuring they were protected as they made their way through the underworld. She walked with them through the shadows, her hand always outstretched, ready to lead them to safety. Her presence wasn't one of dread, but of calm reassurance, a reminder that even in death, they were not alone. Nephthys, in her role, made sure that the transition to the afterlife was not terrifying, but peaceful. Her energy was soft yet unwavering, always there for those in need. When the living cried out in grief for the ones they lost, Nephthys heard them. She stood in the gap between the living and the dead, connecting those worlds with her quiet strength. It was in these moments that her true power showed, her ability to bring comfort in times of overwhelming sorrow, her ability to make even death feel like something that could be faced with grace. Though she was a goddess of mourning, Nephthys didn't dwell in sadness. She understood that mourning was a necessary part of life, a process that could bring healing in its own way. She didn't ask for people to forget their pain. Instead, she stood with them in it, offering her presence as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there was someone who understood. Nephthys knew the value of tears, the importance of grieving, and she never shied away from it. In fact, she embraced it, knowing that through grief, people could find a kind of peace. It was Nephthys who guarded the tombs, who watched over the bodies of the dead as they lay waiting for their souls to cross into the afterlife. Her protection was unwavering, her care meticulous. She made sure that nothing disturbed the peace of the dead, that their bodies remained untouched and respected. For Nephthys, this wasn't just a duty, it was a sacred act, one that connected her to the souls she watched over. She was their guardian, their protector, and she took that role with a quiet pride. Nephthys may not have been the goddess of grand celebrations or vibrant life, but in the stillness of death, her power shone brightly. She was the silent strength behind every grieving heart, the quiet comfort that whispered that death wasn't an end, but a new beginning. Those who called on her name in their times of sorrow found that she was always there, a constant presence in the midst of loss. She was the one who stood at the threshold, guiding souls with her gentle hand, ensuring that no one crossed into the afterlife alone. In Nephthys, the people of Egypt found not only a goddess but a friend, a mother, a protector who stood by them even when the world seemed to be falling apart. She showed them that even in death, love remained. Even in the darkest times, there was someone who cared, someone who would never abandon them. Nephthys carried the weight of the world's sorrows on her shoulders, but she did so with grace, never faltering, always steady, always there. The roar of Sekhmet could shake the earth, and her breath could scorch the sky. She was not just a goddess, she was a force of nature. Her eyes burned with the heat of 1,000 suns, and her fury could turn even the bravest hearts cold. But behind that fierce exterior, there was something more, a healer, a protector, a goddess who cared so deeply for the land and its people that her wrath was as much out of love as it was out of anger. Sekhmet, the lioness, stood tall and proud, her golden fur gleaming like the rays of the sun. Her presence demanded attention, her power undeniable. She was the goddess of war, destruction, and fire, but she was also a healer, one who could mend what was broken just as easily as she could tear it apart. Her dual nature was a mystery, one that kept her worshippers in awe. She could bring chaos, but she could also bring peace. She could destroy, but she could also save. When Sekhmet was unleashed, no one could stand in her way. Her rage was like a storm, fierce and uncontrollable. She fought not for the sake of violence, but to protect what she loved. The people of Egypt knew that when their enemies threatened their land, Sekhmet would rise, her claws sharp, her roar echoing across the battlefield. She was a warrior in every sense of the word, her heart beating with the rhythm of battle. But it wasn't just bloodlust that drove her, it was a fierce, protective love for Egypt. It is said that there was a time when Sekhmet's anger almost destroyed the world. The people had lost their way, and the gods were furious. Ra, the sun god, sent Sekhmet to punish the humans for their sins, and she did so with terrifying power. She swept across the land like a firestorm, her rage unquenchable. The rivers ran red with the blood of those who had defied the gods, and it seemed as though nothing would stop her. But even Sekhmet, with all her fury, had a heart that could be touched. When Ra saw the destruction she was causing, he realized that if she wasn't stopped, nothing would be left. He tricked her by offering her a river of red-dyed beer, making her think it was blood. In her rage, she drank deeply and soon fell into a deep sleep. When she awoke, her bloodlust had subsided. Her destructive side retreated, and in its place, the healer emerged. Sekhmet wasn't only a warrior, she was also the one who could mend the wounds left behind. After the battle, after the chaos, she would walk among the injured and the sick, her hands gentle, her touch bringing relief. Her healing wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. Those who had faced the horrors of war, who had felt the weight of death and destruction, found peace in her presence. Her power was like fire, burning away what was harmful and leaving only the purest, strongest parts behind. Her healing wasn't soft or gentle like that of other goddesses. It was fierce, like the rest of her. She healed not by soothing, but by burning away the sickness, the pain. Her love was tough, unyielding, but it was real. Sekhmet knew that true healing often required facing the flames, enduring the heat, and coming out stronger on the other side. She didn't coddle her people, she prepared them for the battles they would face, both in war and in life. Her personality was like the desert sun, scorching but full of life. Sekhmet didn't believe in holding back, and she didn't expect her people to either. She was a goddess of strength, and she demanded that same strength from those who worshipped her. But she wasn't without compassion. Sekhmet's love for Egypt was fierce, and that love extended to her people. She fought for them, healed them, and protected them with every fiber of her being. She was the embodiment of balance. In one hand, she held destruction, and in the other, she held healing. She was the fire that burned, but she was also the warmth that gave life. Sekhmet's power came from her ability to be both at once, to understand that life required both creation and destruction, both war and peace. Her worshippers feared her, but they also loved her. They knew that she was a goddess who demanded respect, but they also knew that she would protect them with everything she had. She wasn't a goddess you prayed to lightly. You prayed to her when you needed strength, when you needed courage, when you were willing to face the fire and come out on the other side stronger. Sekhmet's temples were filled with both offerings of thanks and pleas for mercy. Warriors prayed for her protection before they went into battle, and the sick prayed for her healing touch. Her priests knew that to serve Sekhmet was to serve both life and death, to understand that she could bring either with just a flick of her wrist. But they also knew that she was a goddess who cared, who fought for her people with a ferocity that no other could match. She wasn't just a goddess of war or a goddess of healing. She was the embodiment of both, a force of nature who showed the world that true strength comes from understanding the balance between destruction and creation. Sekhmet's fire burned brightly, but it was a fire that gave life as much as it took it away. The soft glow of the evening sun filtered through the windows, casting a warm light over the home. In the quiet moments of the day, when the world outside seemed far away, there was always a sense of peace that filled the air. That peace came from her, Bastet, the gentle guardian of the home, the protector of families, the goddess who watched over every hearth and heart. Bastet wasn't just a symbol of protection, she was protection itself. Her presence was felt in every corner of the home, a silent comfort that reassured mothers as they cradled their children and calmed the worries of fathers as they provided for their families. She was the watchful eye that never slept, the quiet strength that kept danger at bay. To those who honored her, Bastet was more than a goddess, she was a member of the family, a protector whose love was as soft as the touch of a cat's paw, yet as fierce as the claws that could strike down any threat. Her form, that of a sleek and graceful feline, embodied the balance between gentleness and power. Like a cat, Bastet could be playful and tender, but when danger approached, she transformed into a force to be reckoned with. Her sharp gaze missed nothing, and her swift reflexes ensured that no harm would come to those under her care. In every purring cat, the people of Egypt saw Bastet's protective spirit, a guardian who walked among them in the form of a beloved companion. But Bastet's protection wasn't only about shielding her people from physical harm. She was the goddess of home and fertility, her blessings woven into the very fabric of everyday life. In the quiet moments before dawn, when mothers prayed for healthy children and couples wished for the joy of parenthood, it was Bastet they turned to. Her nurturing spirit was like the warmth of the sun, giving life to everything it touched. She cared for the young, the weak, the vulnerable, her love flowing into every household that called upon her name. It wasn't just children and families she watched over. Bastet cared for the animals too, particularly cats. To her, the cat was a sacred creature, a symbol of grace and protection. In the streets and homes of Egypt, cats were seen as the earthly embodiment of Bastet's divine nature. They moved with quiet elegance, their eyes glowing with a mystery that mirrored the goddess's own. It was said that to keep a cat in your home was to keep Bastet herself close by, her presence a shield against misfortune. Bastet's love was not loud or overwhelming, it was quiet, steady, and ever-present. She didn't need to shout her power from the heavens, for she was already there, in the everyday moments, the laughter of children, the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of a home safe from harm. Her love wrapped itself around her people like a soft blanket, offering protection without smothering, giving them space to live, to grow, to be. But beneath that gentle exterior lay the heart of a lioness. Bastet's love was fierce, and her protection unbreakable. Anyone who threatened the peace of her domain would quickly learn that she was not to be crossed. With the swiftness of a cat springing into action, she would defend her people with claws unsheathed, her power striking with the force of a storm. There was no room for hesitation in her heart when it came to keeping her people safe. In the darkest nights, when fear crept into the hearts of those she protected, Bastet was there. Her presence, though unseen, was always felt, a soft brush of air, the sensation of being watched over. She moved like a shadow, silent and swift, ensuring that no harm would come while her people slept. And in the morning, as the light returned and the world awakened, Bastet's protection remained, like the first rays of sunshine that chased away the cold of the night. For women, especially, Bastet held a special place in their hearts. As the goddess of fertility, she was the one they turned to in times of need. Her blessings were sought in the hopes of starting families, and her care was trusted to watch over mothers through the trials of childbirth. Bastet's nurturing love was the force that brought new life into the world, a love that continued to nurture and protect long after the child was born. Every mother who held her baby for the first time felt the presence of Bastet, her protective gaze ensuring that both mother and child would thrive. Yet even as she cared for the vulnerable, Bastet was never weak. Her strength was that of quiet resilience, of a protector who could strike down any threat with the same ease as a cat catching its prey. Her role as a goddess of war in earlier myths spoke to this duality. Bastet could be as fierce as the desert sun, but her love softened that edge, making her a protector rather than a destroyer. Her wrath, when unleashed, was always for the sake of her people, always to preserve the peace and safety of those under her care. Bastet's influence extended far beyond the home. She was a goddess who walked alongside her people in their daily lives, present in every decision they made, every step they took. Her love wasn't confined to the walls of a household, it reached out to touch every aspect of life, ensuring that her people thrived in both times of abundance and in hardship. She was a guardian in the truest sense, always present, always watching, her love unwavering. In the end, Bastet was the embodiment of what it meant to love fiercely and protect without hesitation. She was the guardian of homes, the mother of mothers, the goddess who watched over all with a tender heart and sharp claws. And though her presence may have been gentle, her power was felt in every heartbeat, in every quiet moment of safety, in every cat that curled up beside a warm fire. Bastet was always there, her love and protection a constant reminder that in her care, no harm could come to those she loved. The sky seemed endless when Mut spread her wings over the world. She was not just a goddess, she was the mother of everything, the source from which life itself flowed. Her presence was felt in every breath, every heartbeat. The people of Egypt revered her, knowing that without Mut, the very foundation of existence would crumble. She was the queen of all gods, but more than that, she was the mother who gave life to them all. Her love was the force that bound the universe together. Mut's power wasn't loud or flashy, yet it was impossible to ignore. It was in the steady pulse of the earth, the way the rivers flowed and the stars moved across the sky. She was ancient, older than time itself, her spirit woven into the fabric of creation. To stand in her presence was to feel the weight of the world, yet also its beauty. She was the great mother, the one who nurtured not only the gods, but also the people of Egypt, watching over them with a quiet strength that spoke of endless love. Her connections to the other gods were deep, her role as mother stretching across the heavens. She was the wife of Ammonius, the mighty god of air and hidden things, but she was more than his queen. She stood beside him as an equal, her power intertwined with his, yet fully her own. Together, they ruled the heavens, their love forming a divine partnership that the people of Egypt looked to with awe. But Mut's love wasn't confined to just Ammonius. She was the mother of all the gods, the one who had brought them into existence and given them their purpose. It was through her, the primordial mother, that life began. Her name itself meant mother, and in her, the people found a connection to the very origins of life. Mut's love was vast, endless, her heart big enough to hold the entire world within it. Every god, every goddess, every living thing could trace its existence back to her. She held them all, nurturing them, watching over them, her presence a constant reminder that they were never alone. Though Mut was known as a mother, her power went far beyond nurturing. She was a queen, and her authority was unquestionable. When she spread her wings, the gods themselves bowed before her, knowing that she held the universe in balance. Her wisdom was infinite, her strength unmatched. She ruled not with an iron fist, but with a quiet dignity that made her revered by all. The people of Egypt understood that without Mut, there would be no order, no harmony. She was the glue that held everything together. Yet for all her grandeur, Mut's love was personal. She cared for her people with the same tenderness she showed the gods. In the darkest times, when fear and uncertainty gripped their hearts, they called out to Mut, and she answered. Her love was like the warmth of the sun, soothing and constant, a source of comfort that never faded. Mothers prayed to her for the safety of their children, and kings sought her guidance in times of turmoil. To know Mut was to know the deepest kind of love, one that could not be shaken, no matter the storm. The people of Egypt built grand temples in her honor, but her true temple was the world itself. Every mountain, every river, every tree whispered her name. Mut was everywhere, her presence felt in the smallest details of life. The wind that rustled through the palm trees, the gentle rain that nourished the crops, these were her gifts, reminders that she was always watching over her children. Her love was not a distant thing, it was present in every moment, in every act of kindness and care. And while Mut's love was gentle, it was also fiercely protective. As the great mother, she would stop at nothing to defend her children. Her wrath, though rare, was something to be feared. When the balance of the universe was threatened, Mut would rise, her wings stretching across the sky, her power shaking the very foundations of the earth. No one could stand against her when she chose to protect what she loved. Her love was not something to be tested, for it was as strong as it was deep. The gods themselves sought her wisdom, knowing that Mut's understanding of the universe was beyond their own. She was the one they turned to in times of great need, the mother who would guide them through the darkness. Her advice was always given with care, her words filled with a quiet strength that reassured even the most powerful deities. Mut didn't need to demand respect, it was given to her freely, for her wisdom was unmatched, her love for her children never in doubt. Mut's presence was a source of comfort for the people of Egypt, a reminder that no matter what happened, they were loved. Her power was woven into the very air they breathed, the land they walked on. She was the mother who had given them life, the queen who ruled with grace, and the protector who would stop at nothing to keep them safe. In her, they found not only a goddess but a mother, a queen, and a protector whose love knew no limits. Through Maat, the people of Egypt understood the meaning of unconditional love, the kind that spanned both heaven and earth. At night, when the sky stretched endlessly overhead, the people of Egypt would gaze up in awe at Nut, the sky goddess. She was there, holding the heavens above them, her body arched across the horizon, her skin speckled with stars. Nut wasn't just the sky, they believed she was the mother of everything they saw when they looked upward. Every star, every planet, every distant light in the darkness had been born from her. She cradled the universe in her vast embrace, her love for the cosmos as infinite as the stars themselves. Nut's love wasn't just for the heavens. She was deeply connected to the world below, her body forming a protective arch over the earth. Day after day, she gave birth to the sun, and night after night, she swallowed it, holding it safe within her until it was time for the dawn to come again. The people of Egypt knew that every sunrise was a gift from Nut, her promise that light would always return after the darkest hours. Her presence filled the skies, making the world feel smaller and more connected to the vastness of the universe. Her role in creation was beyond comprehension. Nut wasn't just a goddess of the sky, she was the cosmic mother, the force from which all things came into being. In the beginning, it was said that the sky and the earth were one, locked in a tight embrace. But it was Nut who was pulled away, stretched high above the earth by Shu, the god of air. Her separation from the earth was a bittersweet act, one of love and necessity. She loved the earth, just as she loved the sky, and though she had to be apart, her gaze never left the world below. Nut's love poured out from the heavens in the form of stars. Each one, a tiny glimmer of light, was a child of hers, and the people of Egypt believed that the stars were souls who had ascended to be with her. When someone died, it was Nut who reached down to carry them up to the stars, welcoming them into the eternal night sky. Her touch was soft, gentle, like the breeze that carried the night air. She was both the beginning and the end, the one who gave life to the cosmos and the one who took it back when the time came. Every night, the sky was alive with her love. The stars twinkled like the eyes of children being watched over by their mother, and the moon, her constant companion, drifted through the sky under her care. Nut was the guardian of the night, making sure that even in the darkest hours, there was light. Her presence filled the vast emptiness with warmth, a reminder that no one was ever truly alone under her watchful eyes. The stars weren't just distant points of light, they were Nut's children, shining brightly for all to see. Her cosmic role was more than just giving birth to the stars and planets. Nut's connection to the heavens made her a powerful force in the cycle of life and death. She was there when life began, and she was there when it ended. When the souls of the departed traveled to the afterlife, it was Nut who stretched out her arms to welcome them. She wasn't a distant figure who watched from afar, she was present in every moment, and every star that guided the way. Her love bridged the gap between life and eternity. The sun, the most powerful force in the sky, was also her child. Every morning, Nut gave birth to Ra, the sun god, and every evening, she took him back into her body, protecting him until the dawn. The people of Egypt believed that this cycle was essential to the balance of the world. Without Nut, there would be no sun, no light, no life. She was the cosmic mother who ensured that life continued, that the stars kept shining, that the sun always returned. Her love was the force that held everything together. Nut wasn't just the mother of the stars and the planets, she was the mother of gods as well. Her children, Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys, were some of the most important deities in Egyptian mythology. Through them, Nut's influence reached far beyond the sky. Her love for her children was vast, and even though they had their struggles and conflicts, Nut's presence was always there, reminding them of the greater connection they shared. She watched over them, just as she watched over the earth and the heavens. In moments of silence, when the world seemed to stand still, it was Nut's love that could be felt most strongly. The vast sky, filled with stars, was her canvas, a reminder that the universe was far greater than any one of them, yet every single life mattered to her. Each person, each star, each soul was precious in her eyes. Nut held them all, her heart as wide as the sky itself, her love stretching beyond the edges of the universe. Even as the people of Egypt looked to the stars for guidance, they knew it was Nut who guided them. Her love was a constant, unwavering presence in their lives, a force as steady and sure as the sun rising each morning. She was the cosmic mother, the protector of the night, the one who made sure that the stars would always be there to light the way. The heart of the world beat in perfect rhythm, steady and sure, because of her. Maat was more than just a goddess, she was the very essence of truth and balance. Without her, chaos would reign. It was her presence that held the universe together, ensuring that everything from the movements of the stars to the laws of men stayed in harmony. Maat wasn't loud, and she wasn't forceful. But her quiet strength was felt in every breath, every heartbeat. She was the one who whispered to the hearts of kings and the souls of the humble, reminding them of the importance of truth, justice, and order. Maat was the force that made the sun rise in the east and set in the west. She was the reason the Nile flowed, feeding the land of Egypt. The people knew that without her, the world itself would fall apart. Everything that mattered, justice, fairness, honesty, flowed from her like water from the river. Her symbol, the feather, was light, but its meaning was heavy with responsibility. It represented the weight of a soul, the purity of a heart, and the justice that was central to life itself. In every court, in every judgment, Maat was there. Her presence was felt when decisions had to be made, when truth had to be weighed against lies. The people believed that when a soul passed into the afterlife, it was Maat who stood there, her feather in one hand, the scales in the other. The heart of the deceased was placed on one side, her feather on the other. If the heart was heavier than her feather, burdened by lies, cruelty, or injustice, the soul would be cast away. But if the heart was light, free from the weight of wrong, it could pass into the afterlife, blessed by the truth that Maat represented. It wasn't just in death that Maat's influence was felt, it was in every moment of life. Her presence was woven into the fabric of society, shaping laws, beliefs, and actions. She was the reason kings ruled with fairness, why disputes were settled with wisdom, and why the people of Egypt valued truth above all else. To live in Maat was to live in harmony with the universe, to act with integrity, to speak only truth, and to carry out justice without bias. Her way wasn't always easy, but it was always right. Maat's influence reached beyond the courts and temples. She was in the fields where farmers toiled, ensuring that the crops grew with fairness and that the land was treated with respect. She was in the hearts of mothers as they taught their children right from wrong, urging them to live in truth and to walk with integrity. Her spirit was present in the streets, in the markets, where fairness was expected in every transaction, where honesty was the foundation of every relationship. She was the compass that guided all of Egypt, pointing them toward what was right and just. Maat didn't force her will on anyone, she didn't need to. Her strength came from the love the people had for her, their respect for the truth she stood for. They wanted to live in Maat because they knew that through her, the world made sense. Through her, there was peace, harmony, and balance. And yet, there was something beautiful about the way Maat balanced strength with grace. She wasn't a warrior goddess, nor did she demand worship through fear. Instead, she ruled through love and respect. The people honored her because they understood that without truth, there could be no justice, and without justice, there could be no peace. Maat gave them the gift of balance, of knowing that everything in the world had its place, and when that balance was maintained, life flourished. In the halls of the afterlife, Maat's role was perhaps the most profound. When a person's life came to an end, it was Maat who decided their fate. Her feather, the symbol of absolute truth, was the ultimate test. No wealth, no power, no earthly influence could sway the scales. Only a life lived in honesty, fairness, and integrity would ensure that the heart remained light. It was a powerful reminder that in the end, nothing mattered but the truth. Even the gods themselves bowed to Maat's authority. She wasn't just a goddess among them, she was the principle by which they all lived. Ra, the sun god, needed her to make his daily journey across the sky. Without Maat, his path would falter, the sun would not rise, and the balance of the world would be thrown into chaos. Every god and goddess understood that Maat's truth was the thread that held the universe together, and without her, everything would unravel. Her feather, light as air, carried the weight of the universe. It reminded every soul that no matter how small their actions seemed, they mattered. Every choice, every word spoken, every truth told or withheld, it all carried weight. Maat's justice wasn't about punishment, it was about balance. It was about making sure that every action had its equal, that every lie was countered with truth, every injustice with fairness. Maat's love for the world was endless. She gave the people the gift of order, the chance to live in a world where justice reigned, where truth was the foundation of all things. Her love wasn't soft or sentimental, it was a love rooted in fairness, in the belief that every soul deserved to be treated with respect and dignity. She watched over the world with a steady hand, her scales always ready, her feather waiting to judge the hearts of men. In every act of kindness, and every moment of truth, Maat's spirit lived on. She was the force that kept the world turning, the goddess who ensured that no matter how chaotic life became, there would always be balance. Her truth was the light that guided Egypt, her justice the foundation upon which everything stood. In the ancient world, life and death were woven together by threads of moisture and drought. Tefnut stood at the heart of this delicate balance, her presence as vital as the breath of life itself. She was the goddess of rain and moisture, her essence intertwined with the fertility of the land. Without her, the earth would wither, and life would fade into a dry, desolate emptiness. Tefnut was more than just a goddess of rain. She was a powerful force that embodied the life-giving properties of moisture. When the first drops of rain fell from the heavens, it was as if Tefnut herself was whispering to the earth, promising a season of growth and abundance. Her tears, as they were believed to be, nourished the soil, bringing forth crops and ensuring the survival of all living things. Her touch was the gentle caress of rain that revived the parched land, transforming it from barren desert to fertile fields. In the ancient myths, Tefnut was often depicted with a lioness head, a symbol of her fierce and protective nature. She was not just a source of life, but also a guardian of balance. The rain she brought were not only blessings, but also reminders of nature's power. Too much rain could flood the land, just as too little could turn it into a wasteland. Tefnut's role was to maintain the perfect harmony, ensuring that her gifts were neither excessive nor insufficient. Her connection to the cosmos was profound. Tefnut was seen as a daughter of the sky goddess Nut and the air god Shu, making her a crucial part of the cosmic family that upheld the order of the universe. As the goddess of moisture, she had the power to influence the very fabric of existence. Her reign could rejuvenate life, but also had the potential to wash away what was no longer needed. She was the balance between growth and decay, the cycle of life that sustained the world. In the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians, Tefnut's influence was deeply felt. Farmers prayed to her for rain during the planting season, believing that her favor would ensure a bountiful harvest. They understood that the cycles of nature were not merely a matter of chance, but of divine will. Tefnut was the goddess who controlled this will, whose presence was both a blessing and a reminder of nature's immense power. Her reign was a symbol of renewal, a promise that even after the driest of times, life could spring forth once again. Her nurturing aspect was as central to her identity as her role in maintaining balance. Tefnut was not only a life-bringer, but also a protector of the earth. Her moisture was essential for fertility, not just of the soil, but of all living things. Her presence ensured that the cycle of life continued, from the smallest seed to the grandest tree. She was the embodiment of the nurturing aspect of nature, ensuring that life had the water it needed to thrive. The stories of Tefnut were filled with wonder and reverence. People would tell tales of how she journeyed across the skies, her lioness head turning towards the earth as she watched over her domain. Her reign was seen as a divine gift, a sign that the gods were watching over the land. She was a reminder that even in times of drought or struggle, the promise of renewal was always within reach, as long as her favor was upon them. Tefnut's dual nature of creation and destruction was a profound aspect of her character. She represented the delicate balance between the nurturing and the fierce. Just as she could bring life-giving rain, she could also bring storms that reminded people of her power. Her role was to keep the cycle of life in perfect equilibrium, ensuring that the world remained in harmony. This balance was a constant reminder of the power she held and the importance of respecting nature's rhythms. Her connection to fertility was deeply ingrained in the culture. Tefnut was often invoked in rituals and prayers for fertility, both for the land and for individuals. She was seen as a divine mother figure, her reign a blessing that ensured the growth of crops and the prosperity of families. Her influence was felt in every aspect of life, from the fields that fed the people to the homes that sheltered them. The mythology surrounding Tefnut was a testament to her significance. She was not just a goddess among many but a central figure in the divine order of the universe. Her reign was seen as a direct link to the divine, a tangible expression of the god's favor. To the people of ancient Egypt, she was a goddess of immense power and grace, whose presence was essential to the balance of life itself. Her story was a story of life and renewal, of the power that moisture and rain held in shaping the world. Tefnut's essence was a reminder of the importance of balance, the delicate dance between abundance and restraint. She was a goddess who embodied the very essence of life-giving moisture, ensuring that the world remained fertile and full of promise. Her presence was a gift that touched every aspect of existence, a testament to the divine role of water in sustaining the world. Neith's presence in the ancient world was nothing short of mesmerizing. Her name evoked images of a deity who spun the threads of fate and crafted the very fabric of existence. Known as the weaver of the cosmos, Neith's legacy was woven into the heart of Egyptian mythology with threads of power, wisdom, and creation. She was one of the most ancient and enigmatic goddesses, her origins tracing back to the dawn of Egyptian civilization. Neith was depicted with a bow and arrows, symbols of her fierce and formidable nature. But beyond her warrior aspect, she was revered as the goddess of weaving, a divine craft that symbolized her control over the threads of life and destiny. In her role as a weaver, Neith was more than a creator, she was the architect of the universe. Just as a weaver meticulously threads the loom to create a tapestry, Neith was believed to weave the cosmos itself. Her skill with the loom was seen as a divine art, crafting the fabric of reality with precision and intent. This weaving was not just a physical act, but a cosmic one, shaping the order of the world and the paths of every being within it. Her influence extended beyond creation to the realms of war. Neith was also a fierce warrior goddess, embodying the protective and destructive aspects of combat. Her bow and arrows were not just symbols of her martial prowess, but tools of justice and order. In times of conflict, her guidance was sought, as she was believed to bring both the strength needed to conquer and the wisdom to achieve victory. Her dual nature as both a creator and a warrior made her a complex and powerful figure, balancing the forces of life and destruction. In the myths, Neith was often portrayed as a primordial deity who existed before the creation of the world. Her presence was fundamental to the very fabric of existence, her weaving skill symbolizing the creation of the heavens and the earth. She was thought to have a hand in crafting the laws of nature and the universe, ensuring that everything operated in harmony and balance. The gods themselves were seen as products of her weaving, intricately interlaced into the grand design of the cosmos. Her role in Egyptian society was deeply revered. People would turn to Neith in times of need, praying for her guidance and protection. As a goddess of war and creation, she was believed to provide not only physical protection but also the strength to overcome personal struggles and challenges. Her power was invoked in times of crisis, whether on the battlefield or in daily life, reflecting her importance in maintaining both order and creativity in the world. The tapestry of Neith's influence extended to the very essence of life and death. She was thought to be present at the creation of humanity and to have a hand in their fates. Her weaving symbolized the interconnectedness of all things, the threads of life stretching from the gods to the mortal realm. Her role as a weaver was a reminder that every life was part of a larger, divine pattern, each individual thread contributing to the grand design of existence. In the temples dedicated to Neith, her worshippers would create intricate tapestries and garments, believing that these offerings would honor her and secure her favor. These works were not just artistic expressions, but acts of devotion, reflecting the sacred art of weaving that she represented. By honoring her through these creations, people sought to align themselves with the divine order she presided over. Neith's importance in the pantheon was not merely due to her roles as a warrior and weaver, but also her capacity to embody the balance of creation and destruction. Her presence in the myths and worship was a testament to the divine craftsmanship that shaped the world. Her ability to craft, protect, and guide made her a central figure in the understanding of life's mysteries and the cosmic order. Her legacy was a reminder of the intricate and delicate balance that underpins existence. The threads she wove were not only the fabric of the universe, but also the connections between life, fate, and divine will. Neith's influence stretched across all aspects of existence, embodying the interconnectedness of creation and the divine force that governs the cosmos. In the hushed corners of ancient Egypt, where knowledge and wisdom were revered above all, Seshat's presence loomed like a guiding star. As the goddess of writing and knowledge, she held the quill that recorded the very fabric of history. Her influence was not just a matter of ancient scribes, but a divine touch that wove the threads of human understanding and record-keeping. With her head adorned by a seven-pointed star and a distinctive leopard skin garment, Seshat was instantly recognizable. Her star symbolized the infinite nature of wisdom, while the leopard skin represented her connection to the sacred and mysterious aspects of the world. She was the keeper of records, the one who ensured that every important event was documented and preserved for future generations. Her role went far beyond mere writing. She was the guardian of knowledge itself, a divine scribe whose work was essential to the cosmos. Seshat was a deity who bridged the divine and mortal realms. She was present at the creation of the world, recording the acts of the gods as they unfolded. Her role in recording these divine actions ensured that the history of the universe was not lost to time. Each inscription she made was a testament to the eternal nature of her knowledge, a reminder that the wisdom of the gods was carefully preserved and passed down through the ages. Her connection to measurement was another crucial aspect of her divine role. Seshat was believed to be responsible for measuring the land, a task essential for maintaining order and balance in ancient Egypt. The accuracy of these measurements ensured that the floods of the Nile were properly accounted for, that the land was distributed fairly, and that the structures built were precise and enduring. In this way, Seshat's influence extended to the very physical world, her measurements ensuring that the laws of nature were respected and maintained. As the goddess of knowledge, Seshat was revered by scholars and scribes alike. To them, she was the divine patron who inspired their work and blessed their efforts. Her guidance was sought in the recording of important texts and historical events. The act of writing was not just a physical task, but a sacred duty, one that connected the mortal world to the divine. By invoking Seshat, scribes sought to ensure that their work was aligned with divine will and that their records would stand the test of time. In temples dedicated to Seshat, the act of writing was seen as a form of worship. The scribes would offer their written records to her as a tribute, believing that she would bestow her favor and ensure the accuracy of their work. Each scroll and inscription was a tribute to her divine nature, a way of honoring the goddess who made the recording of history possible. Seshat's role as a divine scribe was not just about preserving the past, but also about guiding the future. Her records were a source of wisdom for future generations, offering insights into the divine plan and the lessons of history. Her influence ensured that the knowledge of the past was not forgotten but was preserved and passed down, a continuous thread connecting the ancient world to the present and beyond. Her work in measurement was also symbolic of the balance she maintained in the world. Just as she measured land and ensured the fairness of distribution, she also represented the balance of knowledge and wisdom. Her presence ensured that the scales of understanding were never tipped too far in any direction, that the pursuit of knowledge was always aligned with the divine order. Seshat's legacy was a testament to the value placed on knowledge and recording in ancient Egyptian society. Her role was not only to document and measure, but to inspire and guide. Her influence extended into every aspect of life, from the physical measurements that maintained order to the recorded wisdom that shaped understanding. In every inscribed text and carefully measured land parcel, Seshat's touch was felt. Her divine role ensured that knowledge was preserved, that history was recorded, and that the balance of wisdom and measurement was maintained. She was more than just a goddess, she was the embodiment of the sacred duty of recording and preserving the essence of existence. Her presence in ancient Egypt was a reminder of the divine connection between knowledge, measurement, and the eternal order of the universe. The Nile was more than just a river to the ancient Egyptians, it was a lifeline, a source of life, and a sacred presence that shaped their world. At the heart of this mighty river's reverence stood Anuket, the goddess who embodied its nurturing power. Her role was not merely symbolic, it was fundamental to the very survival and prosperity of Egypt. As the goddess of the Nile and water, Anuket was celebrated as the divine force that brought fertility to the land. Each year, as the Nile flooded its banks, it wasn't just a natural event, but a manifestation of her blessings. The floodwaters spread across the arid desert, transforming it into lush, fertile fields. Without Anuket's divine influence, the land would remain barren, and the people would face famine and hardship. Her role was to ensure that the river's waters came in just the right amounts, turning the desert into a garden of plenty. Anuket's presence was felt in every drop of the river. She was often depicted with a headdress of reeds and the symbol of the Nile, her form merging seamlessly with the water she governed. Her grace was reflected in the gentle, life-giving flow of the Nile, and her spirit was believed to be in every ripple and current. In her, the river was not just a physical body of water but a living, breathing entity that sustained life and prosperity. Agriculture was at the center of Egyptian civilization, and Anuket's role was crucial to its success. The annual inundation of the Nile was eagerly awaited, as it brought silt and nutrients that made the soil fertile. This process was not only essential for growing crops, but also for ensuring that the people had enough food to sustain their families and communities. Anuket's blessing made it possible for the fields to yield bountiful harvests, ensuring that the people's lives were enriched by the land she nourished. The goddess was also deeply connected to fertility, not just of the soil but of life itself. She was invoked in prayers and rituals related to birth and growth, believed to ensure the well-being of newborns and the prosperity of families. Her nurturing spirit extended beyond the fields to every aspect of life, reflecting her role as the mother who cared for all living things. The annual flooding of the Nile was a time of great celebration and gratitude. Festivals dedicated to Anuket were filled with offerings and ceremonies that honored her vital role. The people of Egypt understood that their very existence depended on the river's waters, and thus, they revered Anuket with the highest respect. Her presence was celebrated with joyous rituals that thanked her for the life-giving floods and asked for her continued favor in the year ahead. In every aspect of life, from agriculture to family, Anuket's influence was felt. She was more than just a goddess, she was a vital force who sustained and nurtured the land and its people. Her role in the inundation of the Nile was a reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and nature, and her blessings were seen as a divine assurance of life and prosperity. The river's role in shaping the land was a reflection of Anuket's divine power. Her ability to transform a barren landscape into a flourishing paradise was a testament to her nurturing essence. The annual floods, while dramatic and powerful, were a sign of her care, bringing life and hope to the people. In every grain of silt, every drop of water, and every green sprout that emerged from the fertile soil, Anuket's touch was felt. Her significance was woven into the very fabric of Egyptian life, a divine presence that ensured the balance and prosperity of their world. Through her, the Nile was more than a river, it was a living testament to the goddess who nourished and sustained all that was sacred and vital. In the dim light of ancient homes, where shadows whispered tales of the past, Taweret's presence loomed large and comforting. The goddess, with her distinctive hippopotamus form, stood as a beacon of hope and protection for those embarking on one of life's most vulnerable journeys, childbirth. Her name, whispered in prayers and incantations, promised safety and reassurance to expectant mothers and their children. Taweret, a goddess whose form combined the powerful body of a hippopotamus with the limbs of a lioness and the tail of a crocodile, was a figure both formidable and nurturing. Her unusual appearance was a symbol of her role as a fierce protector. The hippopotamus, a creature both feared and respected for its strength and aggression, mirrored Taweret's protective nature. Yet, it was her compassion and fierce dedication to safeguarding life that defined her true essence. Pregnancy was a time fraught with uncertainty and peril in the ancient world. For many women, the fear of complications or misfortune loomed large. Taweret was their shield against these fears. Her image, often depicted on amulets, walls, and other protective artifacts, was a source of immense comfort. These amulets were not merely decorative, they were believed to hold the goddess's power, offering a tangible connection to her divine protection. In moments of labor, when pain and fear intertwined, Taweret's presence was invoked to offer strength and security. Her protective role extended beyond just the mother, she was also the guardian of the child. In a time when infant mortality was a harsh reality, her blessings were sought to ensure the safety and health of newborns. She watched over them, her fierce and nurturing spirit ensuring that they faced no harm. Taweret's image was one of both ferocity and care. Her strength was not merely physical but emotional and spiritual, offering solace and protection through her mere presence. She was a reminder that even in the face of life's greatest trials, there was a powerful and compassionate force watching over and guiding. Her role wasn't limited to childbirth alone. Taweret's influence extended to the everyday lives of families. She was associated with fertility, ensuring that the cycle of life continued smoothly. Her protective embrace was believed to extend into the home, offering a safeguard against misfortune and evil spirits that might threaten the household. In the sacred spaces of homes and temples, Taweret was honored through rituals and offerings. These were not just acts of devotion but expressions of gratitude for her unwavering protection. The goddess was often depicted in scenes that celebrated the joy of childbirth, her form standing proudly as a symbol of life's continuity and resilience. Taweret's influence was a comfort in a world where the risks of childbirth were ever present. Her protection was not just about physical safety but also about the emotional and spiritual support she provided. She was a figure who embodied both strength and compassion, a reminder that even in the most challenging times, there was a divine presence dedicated to the welfare of women and children. Her image, powerful and maternal, was a source of strength for those who sought her protection. In every depiction of Taweret, there was a promise of safety and care, a divine assurance that no mother or child faced their trials alone. Her role as protector of women and children was a cornerstone of her identity, making her an enduring symbol of hope and resilience. In the ancient sands of Egypt, where the power of gods was believed to flow through every breath and whisper, Wadjet's presence was a fierce and protective force. This goddess, depicted as a serpent or a cobra, was more than a symbol, she was a living embodiment of guardianship and authority. Her significance stretched far beyond mere legend, touching the very heart of Egyptian sovereignty and protection. Wadjet, the serpent goddess, commanded reverence and awe. In her cobra form, she was the epitome of vigilance and might. Her hood, raised in defiance, was a constant reminder of her protective nature. The cobra's image, both feared and respected for its deadly power, mirrored Wadjet's role as a fierce guardian against threats and evil. Her primary duty was to shield the pharaoh, the living god on earth, from harm. In the perilous world of ancient Egypt, where conspiracies and treacheries were ever present, the pharaoh needed an invincible protector. Wadjet, with her serpent form, became a divine sentinel, her gaze ever watchful, her presence an assurance of safety. The pharaoh's crown often bore her likeness, signifying that she was ever present, ensuring that the ruler's reign was secure and divinely sanctioned. The serpent's symbolism in Wadjet's role went beyond mere protection. In Egyptian belief, serpents were powerful symbols of life and death, transformation, and rebirth. Wadjet, as a cobra, represented the dangerous edge of power, swift, decisive, and capable of both creating and destroying. Her presence in royal regalia, on crowns and scepters, was not just ornamental. It was a powerful declaration of divine protection and royal legitimacy. Her role was not confined to the pharaoh alone. Wadjet's protective embrace extended to the land and its people. Her image was often placed in places of significance, such as temples and sacred spaces, ensuring that her protective aura was felt by all who entered. Her divine influence was believed to keep the land safe from foreign invaders, natural disasters, and malevolent forces that threatened the stability of Egypt. In the ancient ceremonies and rituals that marked the passing of pharaohs, Wadjet played a crucial role. Her protective power was invoked to guide the pharaoh's soul into the afterlife safely. Her divine serpent was thought to shield the departed ruler from the dangers of the underworld, ensuring a safe passage to the realm of the gods. Wadjet's image, often carved in stone or depicted in intricate artwork, conveyed a sense of relentless vigilance. Her presence was a constant reminder of the divine protection that shielded the pharaoh and the people of Egypt. The symbolism of the serpent, with its ability to strike with sudden and lethal force, was a potent reminder of the goddess's power and her unwavering commitment to safeguarding her charges. The stories and symbols of Wadjet were more than mere decorations. They were deeply woven into the fabric of Egyptian identity and governance. Her protection was an essential aspect of the divine order that Egyptians believed upheld their world. The pharaoh, adorned with her likeness, was not just a ruler. He was the divine intermediary between the gods and the people, fortified by Wadjet's formidable presence. In every depiction of Wadjet, there was a story of strength and guardianship. Her cobra form, poised and menacing, was a testament to her role as protector. Her divine gaze, fierce and unyielding, was a promise of safety and strength. To the ancient Egyptians, Wadjet was not just a goddess but a powerful force that stood between them and the chaos of the world, her protection as real and vital as the breath of life itself. In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the desert's harshness met the promise of the Nile's life-giving waters, there was a goddess whose presence was both feared and revered. Serket, the scorpion goddess, was a figure of profound mystery and power. With the sting of a scorpion, she wielded the capacity to heal and protect, standing as a formidable guardian against the dangers of both the natural world and the afterlife. Serket's form, fierce and unwavering, was symbolized by the scorpion. This creature, known for its potent venom, embodied both danger and healing. Her role was to protect against the venomous creatures that prowled the deserts and marshlands, safeguarding the living from harm. To the ancient Egyptians, the scorpion was a creature of dual nature, just as Serket was a goddess of paradoxes, both a fierce warrior and a nurturing healer. In the scorching desert heat, where venomous creatures could lurk in the shadows, Serket's protection was indispensable. Her scorpion form was a constant reminder of her ability to ward off the poisons that threatened life. Her divine power was believed to neutralize venom and soothe the pain inflicted by these creatures. Her image, often adorned with a scorpion's tail, was a protective charm placed on amulets and talismans to keep away danger. Yet, Serket's influence extended far beyond the physical realm. She was intricately tied to the mysteries of life after death. Her role in the afterlife was crucial. The ancient Egyptians saw her as a guiding force for souls navigating the perilous journey through the underworld. Serket was thought to offer protection to the deceased, shielding them from the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the afterlife. Her presence was believed to ensure a safe passage to the next world, a comforting thought for those grieving their loved ones. The association of Serket with healing was deeply rooted in her ability to counteract venom and illness. She was invoked in rituals and prayers for protection from disease and afflictions. The scorpion, while feared for its sting, also represented the possibility of healing through its antivenom. Serket, with her scorpion's tail, was seen as a guardian who could both deliver and cure, embodying the cycle of harm and healing that was a part of existence. In the tender moments of sickness and suffering, the people of ancient Egypt turned to Serket for solace. Her name was whispered in hopes of relief from pain, her image drawn on amulets to ward off illness. She was believed to have the power to reverse the effects of poison, making her a goddess of both hope and healing. Serket's role in the afterlife added another layer to her complex nature. She was seen as a protector of the deceased, a guardian who watched over souls as they transitioned from the mortal world to the eternal. Her presence was comforting in the realm of the dead, where her scorpion's tail symbolized both the sting of judgment and the promise of protection. The ancient Egyptians believed that Serket ensured that the deceased were safe from the dangers of the underworld and that their souls would find peace. In art and mythology, Serket's image was both powerful and reassuring. Her scorpion form was a reminder of her dual nature, capable of both inflicting and alleviating suffering. Her role in the myths and stories of ancient Egypt reflected a goddess who was ever present, her protective and healing powers extending across the realms of the living and the dead. To the ancient Egyptians, Serket was a vital deity whose influence was felt in both their daily lives and their spiritual journeys. Her ability to protect from venomous creatures, heal the sick, and guide souls through the afterlife made her a goddess of profound significance. Her legacy, wrapped in the mystique of the scorpion, was a testament to the enduring power of divine protection and the promise of healing in the face of adversity. In the heart of the ancient Egyptian fields, where the fertile soil met the life-giving waters of the Nile, there was a goddess who symbolized the very essence of nourishment and abundance. Renenutet, the goddess of the harvest, was revered not just for her role in ensuring plentiful crops, but also for the warmth and care she bestowed upon those who depended on the land for sustenance. Renenutet's presence was felt deeply in the fields where farmers toiled. As the goddess who watched over the harvest, she was believed to weave the threads of fertility and growth into the land. Her connection to the grain and the growth of crops made her an essential figure in the daily lives of those who depended on agriculture for survival. In the eyes of the ancient Egyptians, she was not just a deity but a nurturing force whose blessings ensured that the fields would yield bountiful crops. The sight of ripe, golden grain bending under the weight of its own abundance was a tangible reminder of Renenutet's favor. Farmers prayed to her and made offerings in hopes of securing a successful harvest. They believed that her touch could turn barren fields into verdant landscapes brimming with life. Her role was vital to the cycle of life. Without her blessings, the land could falter and the people could face famine. Renenutet's nurturing aspect extended beyond the fields and into the very homes of the people. She was seen as a protective mother, watching over the nourishment that families would receive from the land. Her presence in the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians was a constant reassurance that their needs would be met. Her name was spoken with gratitude and hope, a plea for her to ensure that the harvest would be generous and the food plentiful. Her role in ensuring abundance was more than just a matter of practical necessity, it was deeply spiritual. The connection between the goddess and the harvest was woven into the fabric of religious rituals and ceremonies. Farmers and families would celebrate festivals in her honor, giving thanks for the bountiful crops and seeking her continued favor. These celebrations were not only acts of gratitude but also acts of devotion, as people acknowledged the divine hand that guided their harvests and sustained their lives. Renenutet's image was often depicted with symbols of fertility and nourishment. She was sometimes shown with a sheaf of wheat or with other symbols related to the harvest. This imagery reinforced her role as the provider of sustenance and the nurturer of the land. In these depictions, her gentle presence was a reminder of the deep bond between the goddess and the natural world. In times of scarcity or drought, the people would turn to Renenutet with even greater fervor, asking for her mercy and intervention. They believed that her compassion could bring relief and restore balance to the land. Her role as the goddess of nourishment made her a beacon of hope in challenging times, a symbol of the promise that, with her help, abundance could be restored. The connection between Renenutet and the land was a deeply emotional one. The ancient Egyptians saw their survival and prosperity as intertwined with her blessings. To them, she was more than just a deity, she was a guardian of their sustenance and a symbol of the nurturing force that guided their lives. Her presence in their rituals, prayers, and daily lives reflected a profound trust in her ability to provide and protect. In the quiet moments of harvest, as the sun set over the fields, the ancient Egyptians would pause to honor Renenutet, offering thanks for the gifts of the earth. Her role was celebrated with reverence, as the goddess who ensured that their lives were sustained and their homes were filled with the fruits of their labor. The harvest was a time of joy and gratitude, a testament to the divine connection between the goddess and the land. Renenutet's legacy was one of life and abundance, her influence extending through the fields, the homes, and the hearts of those who relied on her blessings. Her nurturing spirit was a constant reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and the natural world, and her presence was a source of comfort and hope for those who cherished the gifts of the harvest. In the ancient deserts and sun-scorched lands of Egypt, where the fierce sun beat down upon the earth and the struggle for survival was ever present, there roamed a goddess of unrivaled power and courage. Menhit, the lioness goddess of battle, embodied the raw strength and relentless spirit of the lioness, a creature revered for its ferocity and might. Menhit's presence was felt as a commanding force in the realm of war. Her image, often depicted with the head of a lioness, struck fear into the hearts of those who opposed her. To her followers, she was more than just a symbol of battle. She was a living testament to the power of divine protection and the strength needed to face the adversities of life. The lioness was not merely a predator, it was a fierce warrior, and Menhit was the embodiment of this warrior spirit. In the heat of battle, the soldiers and warriors of ancient Egypt would call upon Menhit with fervent prayers. They sought her strength and protection as they faced their enemies. The roar of the lioness was believed to be a divine call to arms, rallying the faithful and striking terror into the hearts of their foes. Her fierce nature was not just about violence, it was about ensuring justice and safeguarding the lands from threats. Her power was seen as a shield, a force that protected the righteous and upheld the cause of those who fought for their homes and their people. Menhit's connection to the solar deities added another layer to her formidable presence. The sun, a symbol of life and energy, was also a source of heat and destruction. Menhit shared this dual nature, embodying both the nurturing warmth of the sun and the searing heat of battle. This connection to solar deities reinforced her role as a warrior goddess, for the sun's power was matched only by the strength she wielded in battle. Her lioness form was a reminder of the raw and untamed power of nature. The lioness, a creature that embodies both grace and might, represented the duality of Menhit's nature, her nurturing aspect as a fierce protector and her destructive side as a warrior. This balance was crucial to her role in the pantheon. She was not just a destroyer, but a guardian who used her strength to uphold order and justice. The stories of Menhit's victories and her fierce defense of the Egyptian lands were legendary. Her involvement in myths and tales painted her as a protector of the land, a goddess who would not hesitate to unleash her wrath upon those who sought to harm her people. Her role in these stories was not just to fight, but to ensure that peace and justice were restored through her battles. In rituals and offerings, the people of Egypt honored Menhit with symbols of power and protection. They would present her with sacrifices that reflected their respect and devotion, seeking her favor and her fierce spirit in their struggles. Her worship was a way to connect with the divine strength she represented, a means of ensuring that her power would be with them in their times of need. The roar of Menhit, echoing through the annals of history, was a call to arms and a cry for protection. Her fierce nature was a source of both inspiration and fear, a reminder of the power that lay in the heart of the lioness. Her presence in the pantheon was a testament to the belief that the divine could walk alongside the mortal, sharing in their struggles and triumphs. Menhit's legacy as the lioness goddess of battle was not just about her role in the myths and legends of Egypt. It was about the real and tangible ways in which her worshippers felt her influence. Her strength and protection were woven into the very fabric of their lives, a source of courage in times of conflict and a beacon of hope in times of darkness. In the end, Menhit was more than just a goddess of battle, she was a symbol of the relentless spirit that drove the people of ancient Egypt. Her lioness form was a reminder of the strength that lay within them, the courage to face their fears, and the divine protection that watched over them in their struggles. Her story, fierce and heart-touching, lives on as a testament to the power of belief and the enduring strength of the human spirit. In the dark, eternal depths of the ancient Egyptian afterlife, where shadows intertwined with hope and fear, there existed powerful goddesses who guided souls through the mysterious realms of the underworld. These goddesses, with their gentle but unyielding presence, played a crucial role in the journey from life to the afterlife, their roles as both guides and judges shaping the fate of countless souls. Amentet, the goddess of the western horizon, held a position of great significance in this realm. She was seen as the welcoming force that greeted souls as they crossed from the world of the living into the afterlife. Imagine the moment of transition, when the sun sets and the world turns to twilight. Amentet's gentle embrace is felt. Souls arriving in the afterlife would be met by her presence a comforting assurance that they were not alone in this unfamiliar journey. Her name itself whispered of peace and rest, offering a sense of security to those embarking on their eternal voyage. Her role was not merely to welcome, but to provide solace and protection as the souls adjusted to their new existence. In the afterlife, where the unknown could be daunting, Anuketet's nurturing presence was a beacon of hope. She guided souls gently, ensuring their passage through the underworld was as serene as possible, offering comfort and reassurance as they faced the trials of their new existence. Nephthys, another powerful figure in the underworld, was intricately involved in the judgment and protection of souls. Her role was to assist in guiding the deceased through the complexities of the afterlife. Nephthys, often depicted with a serene and compassionate demeanor, played a crucial role in the judgment process, where the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. The outcome of this judgment determined whether a soul would be granted eternal peace or face destruction. Her presence was both comforting and formidable. In the heart of the underworld, where the scales of fate were balanced, Nephthys' role was to ensure that justice was served with fairness and mercy. Her hands, though gentle, carried the weight of divine judgment. She was the embodiment of the compassion needed to guide souls through the trials they faced, ensuring that the scales of justice were not just a tool of balance, but a means of providing peace. The afterlife in ancient Egypt was a realm of both awe and fear. The journey through the underworld was fraught with challenges and trials, and the role of these goddesses was pivotal in easing this transition. The souls, as they faced their final judgment, would have felt both the weight of their deeds and the comforting presence of these divine figures guiding them. The goddesses of the underworld were not just passive observers, but active participants in the journey of the soul. Their roles intertwined with the very fabric of the afterlife, their influence palpable in every aspect of the soul's transition from life to eternity. Each goddess, with her unique attributes and responsibilities, contributed to a tapestry of divine guidance and judgment that shaped the eternal destiny of the souls they watched over. In the quiet moments of the afterlife, when the soul faced its final judgment, the presence of Anuket and Nephthys offered a profound sense of reassurance. Their roles were not merely about overseeing the passage of souls, but about providing a profound sense of continuity and hope. As the gods of Egypt's underworld, they ensured that every soul, regardless of their past, had a chance to find peace and rest in the eternal realms. Their stories, woven into the fabric of ancient Egyptian belief, remind us of the delicate balance between justice and compassion, between fear and hope. In their hands lay the power to guide and judge, to offer solace and ensure that every soul found its rightful place in the afterlife. Their legacy lives on as a testament to the profound depth of the human need for both divine guidance and eternal peace. In the echoing corridors of ancient history, where the whispers of forgotten gods and goddesses linger, the Egyptian goddesses stand tall as symbols of power, wisdom, and nurturing strength. Their legacies have transcended the ages, weaving their way into the fabric of countless civilizations that followed, and their influence still resonates today in the modern world. The Egyptian goddesses, with their diverse attributes and roles, were more than mere figures of worship. They embodied ideals and concepts that would shape and inspire future generations. Take Sekhmet, the fierce lioness, who represented both destruction and healing. Her dual nature, a blend of fire and renewal, carved out a space for the divine feminine as a force of immense strength and nurturing power. Her image has echoed through the centuries, a reminder that true power is a balance of creation and destruction. Bastet, with her gentle feline grace, carried the essence of protection and domesticity. She wasn't just a cat goddess, but a guardian of the home and family. Her presence was a comforting one, ensuring safety and peace within the household. Bastet's influence can be seen in the way modern cultures honor domestic tranquility and the protective spirit, reflecting her enduring impact on our understanding of home and family. Maat, the primordial mother goddess, established a blueprint for the concept of divine motherhood and leadership. Her revered position as the Queen of Gods laid a foundation for the reverence of female deities as central figures in spiritual hierarchies. Her legacy is evident in the continued veneration of mother figures and queens in various cultures, reflecting a deep respect for feminine authority and nurturing. Nut, the sky goddess, with her cosmic embrace, played a vital role in the creation myths. Her endless arch over the heavens was a symbol of boundless potential and the infinite. The image of Nut, arching protectively over the earth, transcends time, reminding us of the eternal and nurturing qualities attributed to the divine feminine. Her influence extends into modern spiritual practices, where the sky and the cosmos are often seen as symbols of the boundless and the nurturing. Maat, the embodiment of truth and balance, forged a path for the integration of justice and order into spiritual beliefs. Her presence in Egyptian mythology laid the groundwork for the values of truth and balance that are integral to many religious and philosophical systems today. The scales of Maat, representing fairness and integrity, continue to inspire modern notions of justice and morality. Tefnut, the goddess of moisture and rain, was crucial for life and fertility. Her role in ensuring the abundance of crops and the continuation of life connects her directly to the cycles of nature that we still revere today. The connection between her divine influence and the fertility of the earth is mirrored in contemporary reverence for nature and the cycles of life. Seshat, the goddess of knowledge and writing, illuminated the path of wisdom and record-keeping. Her role as the divine scribe laid the foundation for the importance of knowledge and education in all cultures. The written word, symbolized by Seshat, remains a cornerstone of modern civilization, reflecting the enduring value placed on learning and documentation. Anuket, the goddess of the Nile, embodied the life-giving waters essential for survival. Her influence extended beyond ancient Egypt into the ways in which water and agriculture are revered and respected. Her legacy persists in the value we place on water conservation and the understanding of its critical role in sustaining life. Taweret, the protector of women and children, carried a maternal warmth and strength that transcended the ancient world. Her presence as a guardian during childbirth resonates in modern values of maternal care and protection. The protective spirit associated with Taweret is mirrored in the contemporary focus on safeguarding the well-being of mothers and their children. Wadjet, the serpent goddess, was a fierce protector of the pharaohs and a symbol of royal power. Her image as a guardian of sovereignty and protector of the realm has influenced the representation of divine protection in various cultures. The symbolism of Wadjet in royal regalia reflects an enduring legacy of divine guardianship and authority. Serket, the scorpion goddess of healing, wielded her power to protect against venom and ensure life after death. Her role in safeguarding health and guiding souls through the afterlife underscores the continued significance of divine protection and healing in spiritual practices. Her legacy is reflected in modern spiritual and medical practices that honor the balance of life and death. Renenutet, the goddess of nourishment and harvest, ensured abundance and sustenance. Her nurturing aspect and connection to the harvest resonate in modern practices of agriculture and sustenance, highlighting the importance of fertility and nourishment. Her legacy is a testament to the reverence for the cycles of growth and harvest that sustain life. Menhit, the lioness goddess of battle, embodied the fierce spirit of protection and combat. Her association with solar deities reflects a powerful blend of strength and light, influencing how divine power is understood in terms of courage and resilience. Her legacy endures in the valorization of strength and protection in various cultures. The goddesses of Egypt's underworld, such as Menhit and Nephthys, played crucial roles in guiding and protecting souls through the afterlife. Their influence is seen in the ongoing reverence for the divine feminine aspects of judgment and guidance in the afterlife. Their roles continue to shape our understanding of life, death, and the eternal journey. The legacy of the Egyptian goddesses extends far beyond their ancient origins. Their stories, attributes, and roles have woven themselves into the tapestry of human spirituality and cultural expression. They continue to inspire and inform modern understandings of the divine feminine, resonating through the ages as symbols of strength, wisdom, and nurturing power.